How goes everyone? Michael Chase here, and the Lega Basket Serie A is back for a second season on NLSE. So it's only right we preview everything you need to know about this Italian-based basketball league this coming season. Let's get right into it. So first, let's pump the brakes before we get into our season recap and talk about some of the things that make the Serie A unique, being that their rules and regulations that make them a little bit different from what we're used to stateside in terms of our basketball leagues. To start with, they have only 30 games of their regular season. Compare that to the NBA, where they play 82 regular season games. On top of the fact, across all their playoff rounds, their series only lasts up to 5 games, so talk about a little bit on the short side. And then as a matter of fact, one of the more interesting rules similar to international soccer is they have a relegation rule where the teams that finish with the worst 2 records of that season are then relegated, and the 2 teams from one of the lower leagues that finish with the 2 best records are then promoted for the following season. And then to top it all off, they're only allowed a certain number of American players on their active roster on game day, which means teams have to be very mindful in terms of how they go about picking the talent that they want to bring to the court. Now, as for a recap of last season, Milano completed their quest for a three-peat as they won their 3rd straight Serie A championship and league best 31st all-time, adding to an absolute dominant run. They did so by beating their arch rivals Virtus Bologna in 4 games in last year's finals. And you also had just 5 teams in the entire league finish above 500, with Germani Brescia, Umana Raya Venezia, and Reggio Emilia join the league's finals participants. For Germani Brescia, making the biggest jump of this group, they went from just 14 wins the previous season to 21 and finishing 3rd in the league this past year. Now this coming Serie A season, there is a plethora of talent that will be across the league, featuring a great mixture of some newcomers as well as some familiar faces. So let's highlight a few of these great ballers that you should keep your eye on. Firstly, reigning Serie A Finals MVP Nikola Mirotic will make his return to Milano for another season. The 6'10 forward should once again be primed to be one of the premier players in the league and among the top scorers this season. You also have Tyler Ennis, who returns to play in the Serie A for a 2nd season, but is doing so now as a member of Umana Raya Venezia. We'll have to see if last year's assist leader can help his new club rise to the top 3. You also have guard Tommy Cuse, who was a huge help in helping Rasta Vecta make the playoffs in the Easy Credit BBL and is now bringing his talents to the Serie A for Tortona. And finally, Marco Bellinelli returns as reigning regular season MVP to Virtus Bologna and will look to be poised as one of the best shooters on the international circuit once again. Now, as always the case for these international leagues, there's going to be a ton of movement in terms of new teams joining the league this coming season, as well as plenty of new players moving across the league and coming in for this year. Starting with the relegation and promotion side of it, for the 2 new clubs, you have Tristan Trapani, who will be newly promoted and be joining the Serie A for this coming season. Meanwhile, unfortunately, Pesaro and Happy Casa Brindisi will be relegated to the Serie A 2. On the other hand, you also have a ton of newcomers in terms of player movement, with Rajon Tucker, last year's leading scorer for Umana Raya Venezia, joining Virtus Bologna to add to their offensive firepower. You also have Napoli, who completely revamped their backcourt with the likes of Kevin Pangos, Charles Manning Jr., as well as Zach Copeland, all now taking part in trying to lead the charge offensively for that group. Now we here at NLSE are absolutely ecstatic for another season of Serie A basketball to be shown on our network. From the many new faces joining the league, completely mixing up the talent across the entire league, to go along with the fact that, hey, maybe we see Milano continue their run of dominance with a 4th straight championship, or heck, even an entirely new champion altogether. Just make sure you follow us on all of our social medias at NLSE TV, and make sure to continue to watch all of our coverage of international basketball as the exclusive home of the Lega Basket Serie A, NLSE.